On our 7th wedding anniversary, I joyfully prepared a table full of my husband's favorite dishes, but he brought his first love back home. Our 5-year-old daughter clung to her hand, nestling close. Aunt Hazel, you're so wonderful. My mom only stays home to wash clothes and cook. You're like a fairy who can do anything. Aunt Hazel, can you be my mom? My heart wrenched, and I staggered backward, shocked by my daughter's words. My husband didn't correct her, he just smiled at them. Then he glanced at me standing in the corner with impatience, saying, "Why do you always have that sour look? Our daughter is young and doesn't understand, but shouldn't you know better? Go set the table for our guest." I quietly set the table, trying to muster a smile. "I'm not hungry, you all go ahead." That night, I saw my husband's latest Snapchat post. In the picture, he and that woman were holding our daughter, looking blissfully happy. The caption read, "After all the twists and turns, I'm grateful to have you both. How fortunate." With tears in my eyes, I liked the post, then opened our chat. "Let's get a divorce, I'll let you be." The next morning, I returned home to collect my bank card and left the divorce papers on the coffee table. Passing through the living room, I saw the mess they left from last night's meal. Hazel was sleeping in our bedroom, Sierra clinging tightly to her as if afraid she'd disappear. Declan was sleeping at the edge of the bed. I let out a dry laugh, unable to stop my tears. I took a photo of the three of them with my phone. Declan, a light sleeper, stirred at the sound of the camera shutter. Seeing me ready to leave with my suitcase, he stopped me. "Where are you going with a suitcase so early?" I smiled faintly. "Making room for you all." Declan was annoyed. "Why are you acting crazy again? Hazel just returned from abroad and has nowhere to stay, so I brought her home for a bit. Do you have to be so petty?" I laughed inwardly, realizing the last bit of hope I had for him was gone. "Isn't City A big enough for hotels?" Declan avoided my gaze. It was so late. A woman staying at a hotel alone isn't safe. "Dad, Mom, why are you fighting again? Can you keep it down? Don't wake Aunt Hazel." Our daughter, who was holding on to Hazel, woke up and shouted at me impatiently, covering her ears protectively. Looking at the daughter I carried for 10 months, my heart was torn apart, bleeding painfully. Even for a simple cold, I would get up in the middle of the night to take her to the hospital. When she had a fever, I stayed up all night caring for her, making her favorite yogurt melts. I worked tirelessly for days, collapsing from exhaustion for 3 days before recovering. When did she start hating me like Declan did? Was it when she inadvertently said, "Why can't my mom make money? She just cooks and washes clothes like a lazy parasite"? But I graduated from a prestigious university, got recruited by a Fortune 500 finance company in my freshman year. In my sophomore year, Declan, then a freshman, pursued me. He wore a gray tracksuit, his eyes enchanting. He held a bouquet of roses under the girls' dormitory, offering it to me. "Senior, I like you. This bouquet is for you. Once you agree to be my girlfriend, I'll save up to buy you all kinds of flowers, everything you like, and shower you with love, making you the envy of your friends." His love was pure and intense. I had never dated before and was drawn to him. I accepted his confession, growing to love him more deeply. Gradually, I learned he pursued me because, when I painted, I resembled his ex-girlfriend from the side. But I thought, hearts are made of flesh. If I loved him well, he would be moved. 7 years passed. He said he wanted to focus on his career, so I submitted my resignation to my boss, who had also experienced a memorable love. They agreed to give me a few years to think it over, but I had to create a new plan for their company and launch a business video account, gaining 1 million followers within 3 days to avoid paying a penalty. I worked tirelessly for days and succeeded. Thus I became a dutiful wife. He came home later and later, growing more distant. Initially, he'd give me a reluctant smile. Eventually, only Sierra got a warm smile. Later, he'd stare at his phone late into the night, his smile unwavering. I couldn't hold it anymore, and asked who he was chatting with so late. I caught a glimpse of the note, a heart emoji, and the word baby. The other person sent a photo in a sexy nightgown with barely visible text. "When I return, we'll go to a hotel. You can do whatever you want. Until then, you better behave and keep your bullets safe." My mind exploded. My blood froze. I thought of his ex-girlfriend who went abroad. He immediately put away his phone with a dark look. "Nora, you eat what I earn, live in what I earn. When have you ever appreciated my hard work?" I trembled, my mind a mess, silently taking his dirty clothes to wash. As I thought of the past, my eyes reddened. The bitterness pressing on my heart began to clear. Some things aren't sweet when forced. I asked our daughter, "Do you want her to be your mom?" Sierra puffed her chest, looking at me disdainfully. "Yes, Aunt Hazel is so beautiful and buys me lots of dolls and snacks. She's better than you in every way. But if she becomes your mom, I won't be around anymore." I still held a tiny bit of hope. After all, she's my daughter. I've cared for her so long. She must choose me. Sierra didn't care, clinging tightly to Hazel. "As long as I have Aunt Hazel, I don't need you." My heart shattered completely. Declan frowned. "Nora, don't make trouble. You only have the $100 I gave you for groceries. You'll be back begging for forgiveness within a day. Why bother?" I looked at him, took out the $100, and tossed it at him. "Declan, Sierra, I don't need you." I smiled at them, grabbing my suitcase and walking out the door. The moment I left, I suddenly felt a sense of relief. It was like the weight on my heart for 7 years had vanished. I contacted friends I hadn't seen in 7 years, and planned a night out at a bar to start my new life. They all sighed. "We thought you found true love back then, but who knew he was like that? 7 whole years, not letting you meet us, saying we'd lead you astray. Ridiculous." We went shopping, got facials, did Pilates. How is that bad? He made you a full-time housewife. Companies lined up to hire you, and he shamelessly said he wanted to develop his career. Now he only makes $20,000 a month. What career is that? 7 years ago, companies offered you the same. They were indignant for me and relieved I finally escaped the nightmare. After parting with them, I left City A, rented an apartment for myself. I texted Declan, urging him to sign the divorce papers. He didn't reply but was more active on Snapchat. All posts were with Hazel. Candlelit dinners, strolls, role-playing at home. My daughter sat eating roasted sweet potatoes, her small face beaming with happiness. At that moment, I realized, love and indifference were so obvious. The romance I longed for was meaningless to Hazel. I blocked Declan on Snapchat and messaged him. This is adultery, violating morality and the law. The chat showed typing, then stopped. After a while he sent, realized you need money, admit you're wrong, come back and cook for me Hazel, and our daughter, and I'll forgive you, like nothing happened. I laughed out loud. He really thought I was just throwing a tantrum. He thought I couldn't live without him. Even if he was with his ex, I'd endure it. I replied, Declan, you seem to forget it's me who doesn't want you and Sierra. No reply came. I had to work from home to care for our daughter and him, turning down stable job offers. I managed to earn $3 million, planning to surprise them, but it proved to be my own fantasy. I thought he'd be happy to hug me saying, you're amazing honey, I feel like I can't live without him for the rest of my life. Even if he reconnects with his ex, I can endure it. I responded, Declan, you seem to have forgotten something. I'm the one who didn't want you and Sierra anymore. There was no reply. I had to become a stay-at-home wife to care for our daughter and him, so I turned down several full-time job offers, and chose to work from home instead. I managed to earn $3 million, hoping to surprise them, but it turned out I was only fooling myself. I imagined that when he saw the $3 million, he'd joyfully hug me and say, you're amazing honey. He'd suggest taking time off work so we could all go on a trip. Even if his ex messaged him, I could pretend it never happened. But my eyes stung as I mocked my own foolishness. A stone remains a stone. It can't be warmed. To maintain my routine and stay connected with society, I put on the career suit I had once taken off and started applying to larger financial companies. My resume showed a 7-year gap, and although I graduated from a prestigious university, they were hesitant. However, once they saw my previous work experience, they quickly signed me, fearing I might change my mind. When I returned to my rented place, I saw a familiar Audi parked outside. Declan was there, holding Sierra's hand, and he didn't look pleased. Upon seeing me, he arrogantly declared, Nora, Genevieve advised me to bring you back home. She said you're penniless, sulking outside, borrowing money everywhere. You have no job, and in the end, I'll have to repay all these loans you've taken. I laughed. Yes, in Declan's eyes, I'm indeed a freeloader waiting for death. How could I have money to rent a place? How could I live without him? Declan frowned. Why are you laughing? I've been generous enough to come and get you. Don't be ungrateful. Sierra, unwillingly added, Mom, don't be so unreasonable. Don't make things difficult for Genevieve. A pang hit my heart. Genevieve? Declan's gaze shifted, looking slightly uneasy. Sierra pouted. Why that expression? You're so lousy, and you won't let me find someone better to be my mom? If I had any lingering feelings for my daughter, they disappeared completely now. I didn't respond to her. I just told Declan, sign the divorce papers quickly and stop bothering me. What do you mean by bothering? He was so angry he approached me and slapped me across the face. Slap. The sharp sound echoed, and I didn't react. The employment offer letter I was holding fell to the ground. The name of a top 100 financial company in the country shone brightly. Declan's gaze fell on it. My head was still buzzing. He picked up the offer letter from the ground, glanced at it several times, then threw it at me. Nora, I thought you were just incompetent, a parasite at home, and that was it. Now you're even forging job offer letters from top companies. Even if you want to prove to me you're not a parasite, you don't need to go this far to match up to even a strand of Genevieve's hair. He sneered, giving me an ultimatum. I'm telling you, if you don't come home, then our home is never yours again. I shook myself out of it and glared coldly at him. This reaction made Declan feel a bit guilty. After all, I used to be obedient, as loyal as a dog. When he hit me, I just thought of it as marital fun. He steadied himself. What kind of expression is that? Do you want to hit me? Dare you?